The defendant in a 2020 Labor Day weekend shooting learns his sentence, but the victim's father reflects on whether justice was served. And a recent report shows a decrease in the number of overdose deaths, how one organization in eastern Kentucky is helping contribute to those lower numbers coming up.
And we had temperatures in the 80s today. That trend will continue for a little bit, but we have rain and thunderstorm chances in the forecast as well. We'll talk about that coming up in the First Alert forecast.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
A Clay County man was sentenced for his role in a deadly 2020 shooting. WYMT's RJ Johnson was in the courtroom and shares how the victim's family continues to remember him.
On Labor Day weekend in 2020, Johnny Lynn Curry was shot near the intersection of US 421 and Kentucky 149.
I was sitting on my bedroom when I heard on my scanner that the subject had been shot in the garage area. I started praying for this person immediately.
However, Jimmy Curry received a call that would change his life. He learned his son was the one that was shot and later died.
My only child had been taken away from things.
Terry Wagers was charged with murder, and on Monday he was sentenced to 12 years in prison for manslaughter.
In my opinion, justice has not been served. Terry Wagers could have driven off, but he chose to put 2 bullets in my son's chest.
Jimmy says it is hard to forgive Wagers for what he took away from him and his family.
My spiritual side says forgive, while my human side says keep on hating. Hopefully someday I can forgive, but right now I just can't.
However, he said Johnny Lynn loved being a papaw.
I'll never know the feeling of Johnny Lynn pulling back in my driveway and getting to watch him be papaw to his grandchildren. We do tell her about him and how happy he was to be a papaw. You know how hurtful it is when a nearly 4-year-old looks up at his picture and says papaw.
Saying it still hurts more than 3 years later. In Clay County, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Wagers pleaded guilty back in May to manslaughter, amended from the original murder charge. A Clay County inmate is still on the run after escaping on Thursday. Officers said Skylar Hubbard escaped from near the Beach Creek Apartments. He was last seen near Cole Hollow. At the time of his escape, officers said he was wearing orange work-release clothes. Anyone with information is asked to call the sheriff's office. A Knox County missing woman was found dead early this morning. Troopers with Kentucky State Police say they found 42-year-old Jennifer Hensley's car along the Hal Rogers Parkway. Her body was found a short distance from the vehicle. Officers say that no foul play is suspected, but they are still investigating her death. In Laurel County, police arrested 49-year-old Patrick David Sizemore after they say they got a call that he was laying unresponsive in the road. Officers arrested the East Bernstadt man on Saturday. Deputies with the Laurel County Sheriff's Department say they found Sizemore unresponsive with a, quote, empty beer can in between his legs, end quote. Officers say the incident happened near R. Heron Road. Sizemore was charged with public intoxication.
Well, we made it into the 70s and 80s today across eastern Kentucky. Pikeville made it to 79, 81 in Hazard, 83 London, 82 Williamsburg. Middlesboro made it to 83. One thing to note about this map, you're noticing Hazard does not have a official high today. The sensor is currently down. It will be down for the next few hours. So when we go through the forecast, that's why Hazard will not have a temperature. Outside right now, we are seeing temperatures still in the 70s and 80s. 80 in Prestonsburg, 80 in Jackson, 79 Manchester, 82 Harlan, Jonesville. Good evening to you guys. You're at 81 degrees. 73 is the current temperature in Wise. Take a look here at the satellite radar. No rain to talk about across eastern Kentucky. The big story, though, is that cloud cover. If you have any plans tonight, I should say, we'll see temperatures in the 70s with mainly clear skies, but there is rain and thunderstorm chances in the forecast. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Steve, over to you.
Eric, thank you. The Blackie Bridge in Letcher County is closed. Officials say a recent inspection revealed structural issues that require immediate attention. Barricades have been set up at each end of the bridge. Drivers can detour using Kentucky 160 to Kentucky 15 or Kentucky 2036 to Kentucky 7 towards Perry County. Due to the drug epidemic and an increase during the COVID-19 pandemic, overdose deaths became far too prevalent in the United States. However, a recent report now shows a decline in those numbers. WYMT's Olivia Calfee spoke with officials at a Perry County Recovery Center and a patient in that program about the positive impact treatment facilities are making.
Robert Fannin says he grew up seeing family members in addiction, saying it was never what he wanted, but it was what happened.
I know that day I woke up in the hospital with nurses and doctors and 2 or 3 people I didn't even know standing around me. I knew I had to do something different. I couldn't continue to live like that.
A recent CDC report shows overdose deaths in the U.S. dropped 3% from 2022 to 2023. And in Kentucky, the decline was even greater at 8%. Greg Burke, executive director of Beacons of Hope, says the statistic is positive. And knowing that Robert Fannin is one person aiding in the decline proves their work can't stop.
That just validates and proves that the things we're doing are working. But we're not winning the war. We have to continue to fight.
Saying for far too long, people were sent off to find treatment. But now in eastern Kentucky, people can find treatment that they do not have to be ashamed of.
It was hit so hard with the opioid epidemic, and it continues to be hit hard with illegal drugs. But for people to know now that they can come right down the road, come here, be in a safe place with people that actually care about them right here at Beacons of Hope, I mean, it changes the game.
And Beacons of Hope was who Robert called when he found himself in a bad situation caused by addiction, saying his 30-day stay is now marking 5 months, and he has hope for a brighter tomorrow.
I was originally just going to stay here 30 days, but I don't know, there was something different that set in on me while I was here. I didn't feel like 30 days was going to be enough for me to get any help, so I stayed here. You know, I've been here 5 months right now.
A call for help, a call to find hope, to save lives and continue decreasing the number of overdose deaths in the Commonwealth. In Perry County, Olivia Calfee, WYMT Mountain News.
If you are looking for inpatient treatment options, you can call Beacons of Hope at 606-551-1140. For more information on resources available and those CDC statistics, you can visit our website at WYMT.com. A Claiborne County, Tennessee church is destroyed after a fire Saturday night, leaving many people shocked and heartbroken. Evan Lasik was in Tazewell to see how people are joining together after the devastating loss of their church.
Complete loss, just heartbroken.
A fire destroying a sacred place for many people in Tazewell. The Springdale Baptist Church now a loss.
From what I'm gathering, probably 60–70% consumes that time fully involved and just, you know, moving faster and faster as the seconds went by. Even once we were dispatched, there was calls just as soon as we were dispatched, there was already fire through the roof of the structure.
The newly renovated fellowship hall survived the fire, but the church itself destroyed. Crews worked fast to stop the flames from spreading to the entire building. Churchgoers, however, remaining positive about the future of their church.
Upon arrival, we were just completely devastated with what we saw. Really no words to describe what we felt, but we're very optimistic as a church that we know who we have our faith in and who we count on, and we know what's going to come in the future. We'll rebuild it bigger and better.
Despite the devastation, people still gathering together for Sunday service.
On the way to church, I was just still brokenhearted, but then after we got in the old church and the spirit started going, we just got very encouraged.
Fire Chief Matthew Seals says he used to go to church here. He says seeing what happened to the church has not been easy.
We got some photos and stuff, and like I said, my parents just lived right behind the church here and everything, and it was just completely devastating. Just made me sick to my stomach.
With all that has happened, people in Tazewell say that being together is the best thing they can do right now.
I feel like after everything happened. It's just everybody was so down last night compared to this morning. This morning it was like everybody was happy. We were rejoicing. We were excited to see what God had in store.
In Tazewell, Evan Lasik, WVLT News.
Nobody was hurt in that fire, and Pastor Brandon Christian says services will continue at Big Springs Primitive Baptist Church every Sunday at 10 in the morning.
All right, here's a look at the weather headlines. First of all, possibly a stray shower or two this evening, otherwise mainly clear skies. Thunderstorm chances will pick up as we go throughout the week, and we have 80s on the 7-day, and we'll talk about that coming up at the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Stay with us.
And what happens when pandemic-related funding schools receive ends this fall? We'll take a look at the impact the money has, not just on the bottom line, but also on your students.